Hello guys and welcome to today's Los Blancos podcast. Today it is the big one, El Clasico review after a 2-1 victory against Barcelona. We win once again, finally. It's been on quite a while since the last Clasico, which was obviously the 4-0 victory. We get the better of Barcelona once again, but it didn't come easily this time. It was a 2-1 victory and it came late from Jude Bellingham, a brace from him after an early Gundogan goal for Barcelona. And there were some very, very bad negatives in the first half. I was feeling very, very down. I think a lot of Madridistas were feeling very down after the first half. But we came back. It was a much, much, much improved performance in the second half. Second half, FC strikes again. And Real Madrid get the W in this first El Clasico of the season. Now, let's talk about the lineups first, because I think the main talking point for Real Madrid was the fact that Eduardo Camavinga got benched. Now, personally, I just didn't see why you could bench Camavinga in this game. You need Camavinga off the left back. And, when he came on, let's talk about when he came on as well, because I think this is a good place to start. When Camavinga came off the bench, he was absolutely incredible. The way he just, the first thing he did, I think, was the roulette, just to get out of pressure. And then, the way his pressure resistance is really good. Everything's just fantastic at left back. He always says he doesn't like playing left back. But when he plays like Marcelo at centre back, then at left back, you can't really do much. He's amazing. And this is just getting to the point where, now that we know about Tchouaméni's injury, which is now we can see he's confirmed for 2 months, which is, it's obviously the maximum, but it's a horrible injury. Now we know that Camavinga's probably going to play defensive midfielder now. But I think Camavinga was incredible, and this is just comes off the back of another string of performances. And then obviously Rodrygo was the other talking point. He played ahead of Joselu. I think it made sense from the start. It was clear that we were not going to dominate Barcelona from the beginning. So, trying to hit them on transition, trying to hit them on the break, I think that was it made sense to play Rodrygo here, in my opinion. Joselu brought a lot off the bench. We'll discuss that later. So what are your thoughts about the Real Madrid starting 11 in this game?
Yeah, I think, of course, I wasn't shocked by it because it's what the media reported, that Camavinga would have been benched. And, of course, when he got benched, I wasn't upset about it because I knew what he can offer off the bench, either at left back or in midfield. So I think it was a standard lineup that we all expected. Toni Kroos won back his starting position weeks ago. So him in midfield with the young guys wasn't shocking for me. Many people wanted Joselu to start the game over Rodrygo. I think that Joselu maybe would have helped Vinicius' game be a bit better, because he would have at least given him a target to hit in the box immediately when he has the ball. So I believe it's a good lineup to win, but I do believe that there's some tweaks to be done for bigger games in this lineup, if I'm being honest. Like, for example, Camavinga should start all the big matches, because, of course, sometimes it might be a bit too late if you're going to turn the game. Sometimes it doesn't always happen. You want your best 11 starting the game, most times. So even if it's a left back, if you want to squeeze Toni Kroos into the team, maybe at left back, but now I believe that he would have to start the Tchouaméni injury.
Yeah, 100%. And then, if we look on the flip side, Barcelona starting 11, they were missing a lot of players. We know this. This was the story heading into the game. They were missing Lewandowski, who was not playing in the starting 11. Rafinha was not playing in the starting 11. And then further afield, you had Jules Koundé, you had Pedri, you had De Jong. Who am I missing? I think I've got all of them. You had a lot of players from Barcelona missing in this game, and they had to adjust, which is all good managers have to do that. Xavi had to adjust. You can't. I understand that you're missing a lot of players, but I don't understand when Barcelona fans are saying, "Oh, when we would have had this guy, we would have beat you. We would have had this guy, we would have beat you." But you didn't have those guys. That's the issue. And this is the main thing. We think we needed this win because Barcelona were missing all these guys. We needed to beat them when they didn't have these guys. And I was a bit down when it was 1-1. And I was like, okay, we were only getting a draw. This is a better result for Barcelona. Getting this draw when all their players are missing. But I think for them, just going off a little bit on a tangent, I think they've got to have a big concern about Pedri because this guy is 22 now, maybe. I think 22, 21, around that age. He obviously played that season where he just played so many games. I think it's coming back to bite him now. He's clearly just not fit in crucial parts of the season, and I think this is going to be just consistently happening with Pedri just constantly injured because of the fact that they overused him when he was younger. Now it looks like his durability is just completely lacking. He's got nothing. His legs just fall apart when it comes to crunch time in the season. So that's a little bit of a problem for Barcelona. How they deal with it, I don't know. But that's the case. But the main talking point I think from that Barcelona starting 11 was the right back situation. Obviously they've always had Araujo at right back against Vinicius, but we thought maybe they would put Cancelo here this time. No, they put Cancelo on this right wing / role, where they just ultimately they just wanted to put Araujo on Vinicius, and to be fair, it worked, and I think it did well. Another talking point from their starting 11 was the fact that they played a midfield three of Gundogan, Fermin, and Gavi. Now, I think this worked extremely well in this game. I think the double pivot of Gundogan and Gavi, they gave a bit of freedom when they needed to break forward, and I think that for them it worked really, really well. It worked really nicely to drop Aurelio Romeo, and yeah, I think Xavi did exactly what he needed to in the starting 11. He did the best of what he could with the tools he was given, but in the end, it was the bench that lost him the game and the bench that won us our game. So, what are your thoughts on Barcelona starting 11 coming into this game?
Yeah, of course, Xavi would have definitely put Ronaldo close to Vinicius. Vinicius is playing a bit more centrally as of late. However, normally he'd pick up the ball out wide. So if you have Ronaldo out there to help Cancelo with Vinicius, then it's a 2-on-1 situation. Even though Madrid tried to overload the left side, you can see that Barcelona is a good pressing team. So, of course, I think they selected the best possible players to suffocate Madrid, in my opinion. It was a good lineup for me. It was one of the best possible lineups that they could have chosen with the available players. And I believe when you have all those fast players who are working hard and who's running off the ball, I think it makes it a lot more difficult for our defense compared to when you have Lewandowski, even though he was injured, but for me, it's a bit more difficult, when it's like that. So, for me, it was a difficult lineup for us to cope with because the team had so much energy, especially Gavi in midfield, who is playing a lot deeper as of late, compared to where he was last season. He gave us a lot of problems. Their defense was solid, in my opinion. They didn't give us much chances until the end of the game. So I believe that Xavi, if I'm being honest, he hate to say it, but he selected the best possible lineup for yesterday, at least for the opening 60 minutes.
Yeah, 100%. There wasn't much he could do off the bench. His bench was quite thin. But, let's talk about that first half because it was a poor first half. It was flat from Real Madrid. There was nothing. Every pass in our half, it was sloppy. There was not really any intent. There was no intent going forward that we couldn't get forward either. That's testament to Barcelona. We couldn't get forward. We couldn't make it past. We couldn't break their lines down, and it was difficult for us to break it down. It was tough. The link between the midfield and the attack was quite slow, and there was really it was quite separated. The separation is always a problem for us where we can't. Our front twos sometimes I find this very, very. I don't know why it always happens with Real Madrid over these last few years. Ever since Cristiano left, I think this is a constant factor. Is the fact that our front two, front three is always separated from the midfield. It just feels like whenever we get into a crossing position for either Rodrigo or Vinicius, there is just no one in the box. And I think this was a problem once again in this game. There was no one bursting forward. There was no one trying to get forward. Valverde was pinned down. He couldn't get past anywhere. Jude Bellingham had to get back because the link between him and the defense was just not. It was not there. So he had to drop deeper and try and collect the ball himself. And all of this culminated in the fact that Barcelona just had us in our half, stuck in our half. We really couldn't do anything. We really didn't show that we could do anything. Even the out ball from Cruz to Vinicius, it worked one time. Apart from that, I can't remember Cruz hitting a long ball to Vinicius or Rodrigo and us getting out that way. So we just didn't use the long ball or the short passes effectively in this game. And then in terms of that first goal, it was just comical. That first goal was just ridiculously stupid. I don't know why none of them dealt with it. Tchouaméni, that first deflection type, he tried to tackle it. It was a bit unlucky, but it was still, you gotta just dump it if you're in doubt. But it went back. Gundogan chased it in. Alaba was slow to react, and then that tackle was just not emphasized enough. He didn't go for it enough. It was a bit half-assed, and I think it went straight back to Gundogan. Gundogan slot under Kepa. Kepa couldn't do anything. It's a one-on-one. Gundogan had enough time and space, and you know what how good Gundogan is in front of goal. So yeah, that was the story of the first half. What are your thoughts on it, and where do you think it went wrong for us? In the goal, just the first half overall.
I think we always expect Barcelona to outplay us in these situations, which is unfortunate because, of course, we know what Ancelotti does and what he could do and what he can't do. What Ancelotti cannot do is, of course, set up a team, to high pressure, despite the fact that we have younger players. Against better teams, we will always soak up the pressure and maybe try to sponge as much of the attacks as possible before we can let loose, or before that we can start taking control of the game. I think it's a bit disappointing that's the case, and that's why, of course, a lot of people would be looking at the change of the manager at the end of the season. But of course, sometimes he manages the game really well and he can make effective substitutions. But I don't think that the lineup was the issue. I believe that we had enough players to deal with Barcelona, to help out in attack and defense. However, I don't believe that the structure of the team is always good enough, in my personal opinion. But I love what he's doing with the players, like with Bellingham, with what he did with Valverde, and then Vindrygo and Vinicius in the past couple of seasons. But of course, in these games, you would expect Madrid to, at least try their best from early on to take control of the game. Maybe score 2 early goals. It doesn't. Sometimes it happens, and sometimes it doesn't. It's quite an unpredictable team. It's a situation that we spoke about a lot of times in the past. Why we are starting so slow. I don't even know why, because it's a situation maybe for the past 5-6 years we always start slow, and sometimes teams score 2 against us or 3, like Manchester City did, like Atletico Madrid did early this season. Luckily for us, Barcelona only scored 1. You can't really say why, but it's just how Madrid they are now. Do hope that next season, under a new manager, which I do think might happen, that this can be changed, because under Zidane and Ancelotti, this is a common situation.
Yeah, it was just. I think we should be playing more pressing style. Now I'm content right now with transition football. I think it's fine. Generally I'm content with playing transition football. I'm not one of those who want us to play expansive Pep Guardiola tiki taka. I don't really care too much about that. I want to see us score goals. I want to see us play well. But I'm not one of those guys who want us to just dominate every match, try and play tiki taka, try and just have 80% of the possession. I really don't care that much about that, but I do want to see us try and be more expansive, try and win the ball back a bit higher. When it was us pressing, it was just often it was just Vinny and Rodrigo just going forward, pressing the ball like that on their own on an island. To be totally honest, which it sometimes works, but it doesn't ever work. Let me get that right. It never works. Just Vinny and Rodrigo plus the pressing forward. So it seems a bit pointless in that it's clear that Ancelotti says go on Vinny, go on Rodrigo, just go chase him down a little bit, but it's just like it's a bit pointless. You either go fully transition or go fully press, and I don't think Ancelotti knows how to coach the press. So right now I think we go for a new coach next summer, I think, but I'm content with the transition football for now. it's not like we're going to get anything else. We are going to get the transition football against the bigger teams. So that's just that's just how it is right now. So we're gonna have to be content with that for a while. Elsewhere, I think we can look at Ferland Mendy. I think he was all right. There was nothing really, but I want to say, in this spell of dominance for Barcelona, I don't recall them having too many big chances. Now there was obviously the Gundogan goal, which that's a big chance. But apart from that, there was one. There was that one against the where Toni Kroos lost the ball against Gavi, and then Gavi played it Gavi won it, and then Fermin Lopez got the ball and hit the post. I think that was apart from that, there was really nothing there. There was not much. There was that Joao Felix one where he was through on goal, but Carvajal managed to cut it quickly, so I think it was okay. But apart from that, they didn't really have too many clear-cut chances. They dominated us. They kept the ball. They were in complete control, but they weren't creating like clear-cut chances, which at the end of the day, we were annoyed because it wasn't looking like we were coming back at that point. But it wasn't looking like they were going to extend their lead either. So, what was your verdict on that first half? What do you think? In terms of that, do you think it was Barcelona playing amazing, or do you reckon it was us just being slow? And I think this is one thing Barcelona, we have to give credit to Barcelona for, is they always come with El Clasico and they always look like they just want to win this game more than any other game in the world. When it's Real Madrid, we play it like it's another game, which I don't think is the right attitude for any derby, any rivalry. You can't play it like it's any other game. You have to play it like it's a rivalry. We have to give the tackles every tackle an extra 10%. So what are your thoughts on this?
I believe that sooner or later, we'll have to accept that this is how Madrid play in these matches, whether it's against Barcelona. But once it's a team that has enough possession and that can hold the ball, it's going to be difficult for us, in my opinion, to even get possession. And we would allow Barcelona to keep the ball. And I would say that because it's not like our defense is perfect. Our defense make a lot of mistakes. When a team constantly has the ball, when you have a defense that's making a lot of mistakes, then it's a bit difficult for you, if I'm being honest. It's a bit difficult for you to get into the game because, of course, we expect teams to dominate the ball. We expect teams to take control of the game. We expect teams to pressure us. And, of course, Barcelona in that first half, that's what they did. They had a lot of chances. In my opinion, the Fermin Lopez chance. They had a lot of opportunities that could have been chances, but then we recovered due to individual efforts, whether it's by a Carvajal's defensive track back on Felix, or maybe some last-minute tackles or saves from Kepa, I believe. But however, it was a bit disappointing. It is a bit disappointing to see it, but it's just something that we have accepted now as fans, especially for the past 2 seasons, that we're going to give teams chances early on in the game, and hopefully that we don't give them too much, where we can dig ourselves in a hole that we can't get it out of. Like, for example, sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes you give teams too many chances and then they dominate you for the entire 90 minutes, like Barcelona did in that 4-0 win, like Manchester City did in their 4-0 win as well. However, then there are times when Liverpool scored twice, then we were able to bounce back immediately and win 5-2. So there are situations when it doesn't work and when it does work. And my concern is that in the big matches, sometimes it's not going to work like that. It's just something we have to accept. But like I've always said, that's why a lot of us are always looking for a change in the coach in the future. Not just because we don't have respect for Ancelotti or we're not appreciating what he's doing. But of course, when there is a structure and a system in place, the coach would always implement that. That is implemented from minute one. The pressing, the interchanges, the plan is always set out from minute one. And with Ancelotti, you're not going to get that. And of course, I'm not complaining about it because we know what we are expecting. But my biggest concern is always that we're going to dig ourselves into a hole that's too deep. gives us difficult situations to get out of. So that's my situation.
Yeah. So Real Madrid coming out in the second half, they wanted they wanted to come out and they wanted to impose themselves on the game. So they wanted to realistically, they wanted to come out and try and dominate this game out at the end of the day. So it was a tough choice for Ancelotti to come off and then see what we could do, because it was down to Barcelona. It was ultimately in Barcelona's hands at halftime. They could have killed us. They could have killed us, and they should have killed us when they could have. They could have put their second goal in, and then boom, Real Madrid are dead. And that at that point, you would probably say Barcelona get the win. At most, they get Real Madrid get a draw if they're lucky, but they didn't do that. Real Madrid, fair play to Ancelotti. He made the right sub. He took off Follow Mendy, brought on Camavinga. That completely changed the game. Later on, he brought on Joselu for Rodrigo. We'll talk about Rodrigo and Vinicius in a second. He brought off Rodrigo, brought on Joselu, and then later on he brought on Toni Kroos, brought off Toni Kroos, brought on Luka Modric, and that once again changed the game. Modric was fantastic when he came on. He looked like he had a chip on his shoulder when he came on. Looked like he was going to win this game for us. He looked like he was with such a desire. He looked like he was. This looked like young Luka Modric again, and it felt so good to have Luka Modric off the bench. With that type of fire inside of him. And then, I think the subs were all correct. It was all fine. And then Mr. Lucas Vazquez came on in the dying embers to seal us the El Clasico victory, which, I always love Lucas Vazquez coming on in El Clasico. It just feels really nice at the end. So, what are your thoughts on the subs that Ancelotti made, the decisions that Ancelotti made in this game? Because I thought that, we always criticise Ancelotti when it goes wrong, but when it goes right, you've got to give him his flowers as well. So what are your thoughts on the decisions that he's made?
Yeah, it's a bit, of course, anticlimactic for Barcelona because they were doing so well. Then, of course, it just took one chance for Bellingham to get that goal. And I don't think that I would agree with Ancelotti when he says that we were better in the entire second half. I believe that for the opening few minutes in the second half, we didn't do much, in my opinion, except for that Rodrigo opportunity. We had another opportunity as well. But I think the goal changed everything. I think Camavinga coming on at left back was important, but that was a forced substitution because Mendy asked to be substituted because he felt a bit of discomfort. So maybe you would wonder what the situation would be like if Mendy hadn't asked to be substituted. Would he have still made that switch? Or who would have come on? Where would Camavinga played? So that's a question that I still want to answers for. So, but for me, having Modric on, I think Modric always let's say he makes those runs into the box, he drives to the ball, he has a bit more entry than Toni Kroos for these type of situations. He can also open up spaces as well. So that's important, having Modric on the pitch. He even made that dagger run into the box where it was deflected for Bellingham for the winner. But I do believe that the substitution that just made it allowed us control of the ball, a bit more energy, because Camavinga can pop up in many places, overload the midfield, overload the left back. He's more calm on the ball than Mendy. So I believe that having Camavinga on the pitch was important. I believe that he should have started the game, and then we would have started much better. Not because Mendy was poor, but because of what Camavinga does for the midfield and for our build-up as well, in my opinion. So the substitutions went well. Of course, I think that Joselu didn't have his best of games, but he did make that run into the box and attract defenders away from Bellingham for the winner. Having him in the box, of course, indirectly helps our players, in my opinion. And if Rodrigo isn't doing well, we always saying that Rodrigo should start because of what he does off the ball and his movement and his link up. But if he isn't doing that now, then I believe that the best thing to do is have Joselu starting. And then maybe Rodrigo can come on and have an impact. It's all about maximizing what you can do from the start. Ancelotti would always say that it doesn't matter who starts the game, but who finishes the game. But yes, still you need a strong lineup. I think we have enough to come off the bench and have an impact despite who starts, and that's a good thing for me. We have seen Toni Kroos come on and change the game a lot of times. Camavinga did it today, Madrid did it today. I think Tony did it, was it against Sociedad? If not Sociedad, someone else.
Getafe was
Getafe. It's Getafe. Okay, Getafe. So Joselu came off the bench in the past and assisted a goal for Bellingham. Rodrigo, so I believe that Rodrigo could be on the bench for some games and we would be fine. Because I believe he can still come on and make an impact against a tired defense. So it's not like it's lights out for him if he gets benched. It's just maybe a one-time situation.
Yeah, there's obviously something wrong with him right now. He's not at his full confidence. I think a little spell on the bench wouldn't do him that much harm. Just a couple games. I think both of them, Vinicius and Rodrigo, they've been kind of excused because of the formation, but I just think I think Vinny's performance over the last few games has been a bit poor. He's been poor in the last few games. In this game especially, he tried taking on Araujo, but he didn't even do that much this game. I think there wasn't that many take-ons on Araujo, and certainly not many successful take-ons on Araujo.
I didn't think he had any successful dribbles today, unfortunately, and he lost the ball 17 times. That's what I saw in one of the statistics.
Yeah, and you could see that in the game. He was just, I think sometimes Vinny needs to just get on with the game, because I think often he's looking for the foul too much. You can't constantly be looking for the foul because the referees aren't going to be on your side. I think often, in these games, I would want to stand aside with Vinny, because some of the tackles that these defenders are doing is ridiculous, and especially in this game, some of the tackles that Araujo, and that especially that one from Ferran Torres, which is a rugby tackle, it was you want to say Vinny is getting hacked down, but some of them is like the one where he was arguing with Xavi after. It was like there was no way that was a foul, and he needs to just take him on and just play the game and try and just use your dribbling ability. Try and take him, get it past him instead of just looking for the foul each time, because we need to just drive and try and create something. We didn't need the foul in that position. Barcelona were perfectly content with just giving up fouls on Vinny. They were completely content because the referee would not just give yellow cards like they were like it was candy. He would just constantly just give fouls, no yellow cards, and I think the referee was completely content with doing that. Vinny just needs to learn how to just put the ball down, play, and show Barcelona his ability, because it was his immense ability last game in the 4-0 victory that got us that win. It was his immense ability on Araujo. When he finally got the better of Araujo consistently, that was when we beat Barcelona. He just needs to just learn how to just consistently just go at them instead of just consistently looking for the foul. I think that's one thing I have to say. Obviously, he experienced more racism, and at the beginning of the game, there were mass chants Vinicius die, which obviously you can't, none of us can compared to having like loads of fans just shouting those kind of stuff at us. But it's hard to separate that kind of stuff, because we don't, neither of us know how to we don't know how that feels, to have loads of fans chanting that at us. So we don't know how that is, on the mental side, having that many fans chant that. But what we can say is on the footballing side, just keep it, show them, like Cristiano did. Cristiano never had that kind of abuse thrown at him, but what Cristiano would have done was he would have just taken it in and just said, okay, now I'm going to score 2 goals against you. And I think that's what Vinicius needs to do sometimes. In terms of Rodrigo, I think he was kind of invisible during this game. This was something I think Rodrigo used to do, which was quite often, in the 2020-21 season. I think that was something that he used to do quite a lot, which is just ghost during the games. I think he needs to just be more impactful. There were 3 defenders all the time on Vinny. He had the space to do whatever he wanted. but he just was not impactful in this game, and I think that needs to improve from Rodrigo. So, what are your thoughts on these two in this game?
I think let's start by saying that with Jude Bellingham in form, it's definitely released a lot of the pressure on them, from the media. The media isn't saying much about them, and the entire world isn't speaking about it as much as you would think. Of course, you see a bit of memes here and there comparing Vinicius' goal tally to maybe someone like Torres or Ansu Fati or whoever has more goals than Vinicius and Rodrigo at this time. So, but however, with Bellingham scoring and Madrid sitting on top of the table in the league and in the Champions League, it's kind of released a lot of the pressure on them, and the hope would be that sooner or later they would catch form and they would release that burden off of Bellingham, in my opinion. But for now, I would expect this performance from them in the Clasico because it has happened a lot in the past where they failed to make an impact. So I would understand and I would expect that. For me, my biggest concern is the other games when they're not playing well. However, that has reduced a bit, especially when Vinicius played well against Napoli. He's on 3 goals. Rodrigo just scored as well. So I hope that this is maybe a one-off game, and the past few weeks was a turning point for them because they both scored. Well, Vinicius got 2 assists and Rodrigo got a goal in the midweek in the Champions League. So hopefully that was a turning point for them, and this was maybe just a difficult game where they struggled from the start, like the entire team. So hopefully I would just analyze more coming into the final few games at the end of the year. I think it's 8 more before the year is done. Well, before the end of December, I believe. Well, before December 12th, I believe it's 8 matches. So hopefully in that phase of matches, we can dominate games because it's not big teams we're playing. It's teams that we expected to beat. So hopefully they can get goals and release the pressure off of Bellingham.
Yeah, we need that. We need them to start scoring soon. Bellingham. Let's talk about the main man now, because it was his brace. Barcelona fans have been talking quite a lot. We'll stop Bellingham, and he was quiet in the first half. I'll give them that. He was quiet, but when crunch time happened, guess who stepped up? It was Jude Bellingham. When crunch time happened, we needed some goals to get us 3 points, get us through to next week. Who stepped up? It was Mr. Jude Bellingham. Now, I think that first goal, it was just like there's nothing you can do if you're Barcelona. It's just like, it's ridiculous. This guy has just decided to just wind up and just smack it from outside the box. It goes in, and everything's happy. He doesn't celebrate. He is kind of cold. He just like shrugs it off, and it's fantastic. We're 1-1, and then later on, Carvajal tries to cross it. It needs a little bit of help, little bit of a nudge from Luka Modric to bounce over Inigo Martinez, and then Bellingham just knocks it past the Stegen, and that is 2-1. It was the filthiest of tap-ins to get inside of Barcelona fans' heads, and it was fantastic. This is exactly what we wanted from Jude Bellingham, to score a brace on his El Clasico debut. First Englishman to score a brace against Barcelona. It was fantastic. This is exactly what we want to see from Jude Bellingham. Now he's just fantastic. Is like I'm running out of words to say about him. We always, at the start of the season, he was the first thing we would talk about on this podcast. But now it's become so normal for him to score every week. It's just, we pushed it to the end of every podcast now, and this is what we used to do with Karim Benzema as well. So this is like, it's so good from Jude Bellingham each and every week. What I will say is that we can't keep using him in excess every week. When there are games that we can just drop him for, we need to, because he is starting to look a bit gassed. He's starting to look a bit jaded after each game. But nonetheless, it's just Jude Bellingham. It's the Jude Bellingham show every week. And this is El Clasico edition. This is the biggest game in Real Madrid's calendar, and Jude Bellingham stepped up. So what are your thoughts about Jude?
Yeah, of course. He started the game a bit on the left midfield, where he's been playing for the past 2 or 3 weeks. However, he was moved centrally. That's when he had the opportunity to score both goals and made those runs into the box, which I believe has been key for us this season. Yes, we need him out wide for defensive moments, but I think Ancelotti realized that if we are chasing the game and we need a goal, we'd have to have him more centrally making those, popping up in these spaces where he can shoot and score, or maybe get him behind and score, which is what happened. Because he's so important. He has to be positioned to score goals from now on. Other guys will have to do the defensive work because, like you said, he's getting a bit tired in the past as well. In the past few games, he's shown that he is a bit tired to end these matches. So I think you'd have to have other guys in the defensive work because he can't score and defend for the entire season. In my opinion, it's not sustainable. It's sustainable for him to score more goals, but however, if he's doing defensive work as well, it's going to put a lot of pressure on him. Yes, he's young, but hopefully, we have a system in place where he can, of course, be stationed a bit higher up the pitch on more occasions, when he's a bit tired, so he can have an impact in attack. Because we have a lot of players who can defend well, but however, we don't have a lot of players who can impact the game centrally and score a lot of goals, unfortunately, when Benzema left. So I was listening to one of the podcasts on yesterday following the matches, and one of the quotes was that this version of Bellingham is better than Benzema. Not the Benzema for 21-22. I'm talking about, they're speaking about the Benzema from last season. That with Bellingham this season, the squad is stronger than last season. Well, the starting 11 or the impact of Bellingham is more than the impact of Benzema last season. For me, I would have to say yes to that in my opinion, because just Benzema of last season, because of what Bellingham does in defense as well and how much he works off the ball and how intelligent he is in defense. I'm not saying that Benzema wasn't good off the ball because his pressing is really good compared to Vinicius and Vindrygo. His defensive work is underrated. However, he was injured a lot and he wasn't at his best for a good patch of the season. So I would have to say yes to that statement. And if I'm seeing that it's a conversation and we are comparing him to Benzema and Cristiano, and of course seeing that he is having a bigger impact than guys like Zidane, Ozil, James Rodriguez, and that's the highest of compliments that we're even having these conversations. Because of course at the start of the season we were all thinking where he's going to play, if he plays, with how many games he's going to start, if he's going to start the big games, but he's starting. All the matches. Ancelotti said that Bellingham will play on tomorrow. When asked about the system, which means he is one of, if not the most important player now, because we survived with Vinicius injured, we survived with Rodrygo not scoring because Bellingham was there. So hopefully we have a system in place now where he can not play all these matches and he can be at his best. Good news is that we have 3 days off before training and then 7 days before playing again. So that's a big positive for him. The next fixtures would be Valenciano, Braga, Valencia, all at home. So hopefully he can maybe be on the bench for at least the Braga game in the Champions League, because we're ahead in the Champions League. I would understand if he starts the first game back against Valenciano, but maybe he can be benched for the second one in the Champions League midweek before facing Valencia.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I would say I reckon he could probably maybe rest against Vallecano. Maybe just maybe give him 45 minutes if we need him.
No, but I think for the league it's more important now.
Yeah.
The league is more important now,
Yeah.
because of course we'd have to get as much points as possible. Because let's be honest, a lot of times in the past we defeated Barcelona, then we lost some foolish stupid game, and then it's back to 2 points and 1 point. So I believe I'm okay with the draws to Sevilla. I'm okay with the Atletico Madrid loss, because at least we're winning the games like against Getafe, against tough teams. We defeated Girona, who are top of the table. So at least we're winning the simple games where we expected to win. A Sevilla draw, I can take that. Loss to Atletico Madrid, I would accept that compared to how we're doing in other games. I believe in those games in the league, you need your best team. He can maybe not play in the Champions League because we have 9 points. I do believe that we can beat Port Braga without him at home, or he can maybe come off the bench as well. I don't believe that. Yes, he's maybe chasing records, but I don't think that's important. because he has 3 goals in his first 3 Champions League games for the club. Maybe if he scores another one, he'll be the first player in history of the club to do so, score in his first 4 UCL games. However, what's important now is having him for the entire season, like what Pep did with Holland when he took him out a lot of times when he was on a hat trick, maybe when he scored a hat trick, maybe when he scores 4 goals, trying to score 5. You have to understand these situations because you need Holland for the entire season. So you need Bellingham for the entire season. So, of course, in these matches, it's okay, to have someone like Brahim Diaz, who played really well for AC Milan for the past 2 seasons, coming on. Brahim Diaz would start for Valenciano. Brahim Diaz would start for most of the Liga teams. So I have no issue having him on the pitch against Valenciano.
Yeah, I would say that's what I would say.
Against Braga, I have no issue having him on the pitch against Braga because he did well in the Champions League again for AC Milan in big matches. And if I have to pick one where Jude would miss, I would pick the second one because, of course, like I said, the league should be the most important now because we have 9 points in the Champions League.
Yeah, what I would say is I'll put Jude on the bench for Vallecano. Play him in the second half if we need a goal because we are second half FC and we can't really show up in the first half. So there's no need for Jude to come up with a goal in the first half in that game. And then Braga, I would definitely bench him there. There's no doubt I would bench him there because I think we can definitely beat that high line of Braga's. With just Vinny and Rodrigo on the field. I think we could beat them there. And then Valencia, I would 100% play Jude there. So that's where I would make him return. So let's talk about Valverde and Carvajal because I thought these two were fantastic. They were amazing down that right hand side. Carvajal kept the clamps on João Felix. He completely just locked him up. And then Valverde tracked Balde to perfection. It was just combination of brilliance. Them two just combined really well. When one of them needed support, the other one helped really well. Carvajal obviously towards the end, I mentioned already he needed the nudge from Modric to get the assist to Bellingham, but at the end of the day, it was really, really good from Carvajal. Defensively, he obviously, like I said, he locked up João Felix. I don't think João Felix had his best game. And then Balde couldn't really get forward either because of Valverde. I think these two were really, really good. In my opinion, I think Valverde's been our second best player this season, and then third best player I think has been Dani Carvajal. I think these two have been absolutely incredible this season. Carvajal heard us calling him washed, and look what he's done this season. He's been absolutely incredible, and we said at the start of the season, if Carvajal can just return to somewhat of his form, it's a game changer. And so far, he's been an absolute game changer for us to have Carvajal at this form. He's been incredible. So, what are your thoughts on these two?
Yeah, Carvajal, of course, is another player and both players, if I'm being honest, has been quite important. Maybe our second and third, or third and fourth, or maybe second and fourth, whatever combination you want. They are in our top 5 players for this season, both of them. Ahead of Vinicius, ahead of Vindrygo, ahead of some key players. Maybe it's Bellingham, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Valverde. Not Camavinga. Yeah, Camavinga as well, but I wanted to say Carvajal. But I think they're both top 4. So I think our best players this season has been Bellingham, of course, as one, with Tchouaméni, Valverde, and Carvajal in the top 4. That's how important they are. They are the underrated duo of the El Clasico of the season because Valverde is helping out Carvajal so much, and Carvajal is playing so high. Then you're seeing Valverde more infield, covering for him. Of course, I've always said for the past 2 years that having Valverde on the pitch definitely helps Carvajal a lot. Carvajal has a lot of energy now this season. I'm not too sure if it's just the new diet that he says he has. I'm not too sure what it is. I highly doubt that a new diet can have that big impact on someone at this stage later in his career. I'm not too sure exactly if that's the only situation why, but it's coming to the point where we were saying that Valverde should be our starting right back. Now I'm accepting that Carvajal is back to being our best fullback. I'm back to saying that, you know what, we don't need to try Vinicius Tobias now because Carvajal is giving you the energy that he didn't have. I saw him track back against Burnley, against Felix, fast players, who can cause a lot of harm to us, who can harm us a lot, and he tracked back really well. So I would have to maybe formally apologize, for saying that he shouldn't start the season, based on the past 2 seasons. So now I believe that he is important to us. And he is our best right back, similar to how we're saying Camavinga is our best left back. He is our best right back, and he has to start these important games. And with Valverde, who gives us energy in attack and defense, I believe that it's helped our right side a lot, seeing that most of our talented players like to play on the left, or who's drifting a lot to the left, like Toni Kroos, Bellingham, Vinicius, Rodrigo sometimes. And of course, with Madrid coming on as well, it also helps the right side. So for me, Valverde and Carvajal has been in my top 4 players this season.
Yeah, you said the new diet. I didn't know a couple of avocados a week could help you that much, but he's been absolutely incredible. He needs to get that new diet checked a little bit with drugs, but yeah, I think he's been incredible this season, and it's just been totally revolutionary for us to have him. We're now starting to doubt whether we need a new right back. I still think we need a new right back, but still, he's been incredible. It's been absolutely fantastic for us to have him. Well, next thing, we'll finish off in a little bit, but I think Tchouaméni, new injury has happened this morning. We found out that he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. Fabrizio Romano confirms 6 to 8 weeks without Tchouaméni. We're lucky we've played most of our big games already. We've still got some big games coming up. Real Betis in a couple of weeks' time, Villarreal we've still got to play. So there are tough games still. But we're lucky we played Real Sociedad. We're lucky we played Atletico. We're lucky we played Barcelona. We're lucky we played Sevilla. Lucky we played all these teams. We're lucky we played Girona. It's going to be difficult without Tchouaméni. We haven't won every game. We haven't lost a game that Tchouaméni has started. Yeah, it's going to be a huge miss to not have Tchouaméni. I think Carlo will probably put Kroos in the DM, which is not very, very, very exciting. But I think personally I would put Camavinga there. I think that's pretty obvious. But yeah, I think it's gonna hurt us, but we're gonna have to deal with it. We're not gonna start crying like the Barcelona fans are. So, what are your thoughts on Tchouaméni's new injury?
Yeah, I think it's a big blow for us, but I think if I have to pick a time where he'd be injured, I think maybe now is the best time. Because it's not at the start of the year when the fixture is getting a bit tough. I think it's now when it's manageable. The next eight fixtures, like we started with the Valenciano game, then it's Valencia, Braga. We have to play Betis, of course. But there's games that way you're expected to win without your defensive midfielder, unless there are more injuries. I think we will be fine. I'm sure I'm not too sure who should be playing there, in my opinion, because the only player who could offer the defensive cover is Camavinga. But as of now, I think Camavinga is our best left back. However, it does give another opportunity to Van Gaal to get more minutes and to maybe win back his left back position, because I still believe that in the big games this season, I would love to see us at least have an impact and attacking a lot. And Van Gaal is important to that, in my opinion. So hopefully he can take that opportunity, Gasset, and maybe win back his left back position, which he had at the start of the season due to Mendy being injured and due to the fact that we all expected Camavinga not to play there. So if Camavinga goes back to midfield, I would hope that Van Gaal can win back his spot. But one thing I don't want to see is Kroos and Modric starting together. Not because I'm totally against it all the time, but in games, you'd want to see physicality in midfield. And of course, having Camavinga back in midfield is important. Ancelotti even said that the pivot is his best position. So we can even play Camavinga and Toni in a pivot with Bellingham ahead of them. Maybe Hoslu as a striker with Rodrigo and Vinicius, maybe on the wings. I think that could be something that we can try. Because Hoslu starting, if he hasn't started with Vinicius and Rodrigo yet, and Bellingham. I would love to see those four with Bellingham behind them. These three, I would say. with Bellingham behind them in a traditional 4-3-1 formation or 4-4-2, however you would like to say it. I would love to maybe see us try that formation. If we have a pivot with maybe Camavinga, Antony, maybe Camavinga, Ceballos, Camavinga, Modric, Camavinga, Valverde. Forgot about that pairing, but Camavinga, Valverde, because Camavinga and Valverde played in a pivot before and they did well. So once Camavinga and Valverde is a midfield, I believe that we can try a 4-3-1 with our key attackers and maybe see how that goes against maybe for Valenciano or maybe in a game where we know we're going to dominate, where we will need to convert our chances. So I would like to see how that goes. We can try new things. Maybe Adagula can come back and ease the burden on guys like Bellingham playing a lot of matches. They can come on and have an impact as well. But as of now, I think Carlo Ancelotti would go for maybe the guys like Joselu, Modric, Valverde to cover in midfield for Tchouaméni, which is understandable. I don't think he's going to try anything new, like the one I suggested, the Joselu on top of Vinicius and Rodrigo. I don't think so, but we'll have to see how that goes. But once Bellingham is centrally and playing attacking, I think that's important for us because we have enough like Camavinga and Valverde to play deep. In my opinion, once it's one of them, I think we would be fine.
Yeah, I agree. I want to see that front three of Vinicius, Rodrigo, and Joselu. Shout out Joselu because when he came on, the game just completely changed. He dragged the space, and in that last goal, he dragged the defenders away from Bellingham, gave him a bit of space, and obviously Bellingham scored the goal. Simeone said a couple of weeks ago, in that game, Jude Bellingham needs Joselu to score goals. And I think it's been showing every single time Joselu plays, Jude Bellingham scores. It's just, I think it's correlating. And I think we do need to sign a striker. It needs to happen. I don't think this is a long-term solution. There is no way this is a long-term solution. So a striker has to come in. I'm really, really starting to like the Feyenoord striker, Santiago Jimenez. I think, a couple of weeks ago he said he wants to play for Real Madrid one day. I really like him. I think he's a really good player. I think he is. He might cost a bit but I don't think Eredivisie clubs demand too much if you're not Ajax. So I think Feyenoord wouldn't ask for ridiculous amounts. I really like him. He scores a load of goals. He's just a natural born finisher every single time. He scores in Champions League. I really like him. Just throwing that out there. La Liga standings, right now Real Madrid top, first place after 11 games, 28 points. Girona, second place after 11 games, 28 points. Barcelona, a little bit behind, 4 points behind, 24 points, same games played. But fourth place, Atletico Madrid, 9 games played, they play later today. I don't know when this podcast goes up, but it will go up eventually, and whether Atleti win that game or not. 9 games played. 22 points, so they are 6 points behind us, but they have played 2 less games. So if they win those 2 games, they're level on points. So it's title race wide open. You've got 4 teams that are really, really good, and Real Sociedad, they're going to be coming in soon as well. So I really like Real Sociedad this season as well. So there's a lot of teams here. There's a lot of promise. This title race looks really, really wide open. Have you got any last thoughts, maybe on Joselu, maybe on the title race? It's looking really exciting so far.
Yeah, I think we covered everything, but the main thing that I would like to say is that it's such an important game that we won mentally. Of course, a Tchouaméni injury is a bit disappointing, what we woke up to this morning. But the main thing is that we won the game on yesterday. It doesn't mean that we won the league, like Tony Cruz said before the Clasico. If we win, it doesn't mean we win the league. If we lose, it doesn't mean we lose the league. It's a long season. Like I've always said, the games that has costed Madrid in the past has been the games where we have just chucked silly points at home at the Bernabeu or away in those matches where you'd expect to win. The good news is that Bellingham has helped us through that. And hopefully we can continue winning those matches where we are expected to win. And if you draw against a big team, if you lost against a big team, it will not hurt that much because you're winning the games that you're supposed to win. That's what Barcelona did on last season. That's what we should be doing this season. Like I said, I'm not upset with the Sevilla draw or the Atletico Madrid loss once we're learning lessons from it, like Ancelotti did. With the lineup, he started Tchouaméni, which is good. of course, so I'm looking forward to see how he copes with the Truman injury. I'm looking forward to see Ceballos and Adegula back. I'm looking forward to see what we can do in these situations. Hopefully Diaz gets more minutes as well. We're looking forward to that. I would just like to see more opportunities for these guys, including Fabdas, who I didn't mention. They would get the opportunities, they would get minutes. I hope that they can take advantage of it so that they can earn Ancelotti's trust, in my opinion. That's important for the end of the season, for these guys to get minutes to contribute. You never know when Arsenal chased the title last year, we saw Reece Nelson score a goal, a winner. Maybe Brahim Diaz can have that moment. Maybe Gula can have these moments. These rotational players can have an impact and have a big opportunity in the squad, to maybe come on and chase games or maybe come on and have an impact on games.
Yeah, so that is it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast, and obviously yesterday's result. It was a fantastic game for us to win. Takes us top of the league, and it's a nice place to sit back and look how we've done this season. So it looks good right now. Good place to stop. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.